There are some things that aren't meant to be found. Buried treasure. Ancient ruins. The bodies we've hidden in metaphorical closets. And letters. Letters sealed not with wax, but with intention. With finality. With the desperate hope that what's written will stay silent forever. On a Tuesday morning in October 2024, a construction crew broke ground on what used to be St. Catherine's Church in Millbrook, Connecticut. The church had stood unfinished since 1969. A monument to something that never quite became what it was supposed to be. In the foundation, wrapped in oilcloth and preserved against time itself, they found an envelope. White. Clean. Impossible. Addressed in careful cursive to the one I leave behind. The worker who found it called his supervisor. The supervisor called the property developer. The developer, a woman named Claire Whitakerchin, called her mother. Her mother's name was Eleanor. And Eleanor Whitaker had been waiting for this phone call for 55 years. This is the story of what happened when the past finally caught up. When a letter buried in concrete and heartbreak saw daylight again. When two people who loved each other desperately had to face the choice that tore them apart. Some stories have happy endings. Some have tragic ones. This one has something harder. Truth. Stay with us. The letter has waited long enough. Eleanor Whitaker is 73 years old. She lives in the same Victorian house she moved into in 1970. Same wallpaper. Same furniture. Same view of the construction site where St. Catherine's Church stands, or stood, unfinished. She's lived a quiet life. Taught third grade for 40 years. Raised a daughter alone after her husband died. Tended her garden with the kind of precision that comes from needing to control something, anything, when you've lost control of everything that mattered. Her neighbors call her sweet. Claire watches from inside. She's never seen her mother like this. Vulnerable. Young. Terrified. Who is this man who can do this with just his presence? Tommy's eyes move past Eleanor to Claire. Is that my daughter? Claire. She has your eyes. How old is she? Eleanor closes her eyes. Tommy, don't. How old, Eleanor? 52. You can hear someone's heart break. It sounds like silence. Like the air being sucked out of a room. Like 55 years of wondering finally getting an answer that's worse than not knowing. I have questions, Tommy says. You've had 55 years. I think you owe me answers. I owe you nothing but an apology. Which you won't accept and I can't give properly. Try anyway. I can't. Not here. Not like this. Claire steps out onto the porch. Someone want to tell me what's happening? Tommy extends his hand. Tommy Russo. I knew your mother. A long time ago. How long? 1969. They're sitting in Eleanor's living room now. Eleanor. Tommy. Claire. Maggie. The letter on the coffee table between them like a grenade with the pin pulled. Tommy looks at it. Then at Eleanor. Then at Claire. The math is impossible to ignore. You wrote me a letter, he says slowly. And you buried it. In concrete. Where I would never find it. It wasn't meant for you, Eleanor says. It was meant for no one. Then what did it say? Goodbye. You could have said that to my face. If I had seen your face, I couldn't have left. First honest thing she said. You can see it land on both of them. The crack in the armor neither of them meant to show. Maggie, who's been watching all of this with the knowing of someone who's carried secrets too long, stands up. All right. Enough dancing. Let's tell the truth. Maggie, Eleanor warns. No. 55 years is long enough. She looks at Claire. Your mother and Tommy were engaged. Then she vanished. He left town. That's the story everyone knows. What they don't know is why. Tommy leans forward. I want to read the letter. No, Eleanor says. It's my history too. My church. It won't give you what you want. What do I want, Eleanor? Closure. Absolution. Understanding. It won't give you any of that. Then what will it give me? The truth. And the truth is worse than not knowing. Tommy reaches for the letter. Eleanor's hand shoots out. Grabs his wrist. For the first time in 55 years, they're touching. Both freeze. The connection is immediate. Undeniable. Devastating. Time hasn't dimmed it. Distance hasn't killed it. Whatever they had, it's still there. A pilot light that never went out. Eleanor lets go first. Picks up the letter. Her hands shake as she breaks the seal. I'll read it, she says. But when I'm done, you both need to leave. And never ask me about this again. Claire starts to protest. Maggie puts a hand on her shoulder. Some moments need to be witnessed in silence. Eleanor clears her throat. Begins to read in a voice that sounds like her 18-year-old self. August 15th, 1969. To the one I leave behind. By the time this is found, if it's ever found, I'll be gone. Or dead. Or so changed you wouldn't recognize me anyway. I'm writing this in the church we were supposed to be married in. The church you designed. The church that will now never be finished because of what I'm about to do. I'm pregnant, Tommy. 3 months. I know it's yours because you're the only one there's ever been. The only one there ever will be. But I can't tell you. I can't trap you with a baby and a girl your family hates. Eleanor keeps reading. Your brother made that very clear. Father Dominic came to see me. He showed me all the plans you'd made. Architecture school in Rome. The scholarship. The career. Everything you'd worked for. He said if you stayed for me, if you threw it all away for some Irish girl you got pregnant, it would destroy you. You'd resent me. Resent the baby. Ruin would follow. He gave me 2 choices, tell you and watch you sacrifice your dreams. Or disappear and let you have your life. I chose you. I chose your future over our present. I buried this letter in the foundation of the church so part of me would always be here, in the place we were supposed to begin. Part of me will always be waiting for you in 1969, in that meadow, saying yes to forever. But the rest of me has to go. I'm sorry. I love you. I love you. I love you. That's the only truth I have left to give. Eleanor. No one moves. No one speaks. The only sound is Tommy's breathing. Rapid. Shallow. The breathing of someone drowning on dry land. Dominic, he finally says. My brother told you to leave. He was trying to protect you. From what? Love? Responsibility? A life? Tommy starts pacing. Can't sit still. Can't contain what's erupting inside him. I went to Rome. I got the degree. I built the career. And I never married. Never had children. Never let anyone close enough because everyone was wrong. Everyone was not you. He stops. Turns to Eleanor. Where is he? Where's Dominic? St. Catherine's retirement home, Maggie says quietly. Tommy heads for the door. Eleanor follows. Tommy, wait. There's more. Things the letter doesn't say. More? What could possibly be more than you let my brother destroy our lives? Eleanor looks at Maggie. Then at the floor. He didn't act alone. Eleanor takes a breath. This is the part she's never told anyone. Someone told him I was pregnant before I could tell you. Someone who had access to my doctor's appointments. Someone who knew our plans. Who? Rosa. My cousin Rosa Martinez. She told your brother because she wanted you for herself. And just like that, the simple story, Priest interferes with young love, become a betrayal that ran through family lines. A secret that involved more people than anyone knew. Claire stands up. This is insane. You're telling me your own cousin destroyed your life out of jealousy? Eleanor nods. And you never confronted her? Never told anyone? What good would it have done? The damage was done. You were born. I married Michael. We built a life. On lies, Claire says. On choices, Eleanor corrects. There's a difference. Tommy is already out the door. Walking to his car. Eleanor calls after him. Where are you going? He doesn't turn around. To get answers. From who? Rose is an old woman now. Dominic's. I don't care what they are now. I care what they took from us then. He gets in the car. Eleanor stands on the porch. Claire beside her now. Who is my father? Claire asks quietly. Eleanor turns to her daughter. To the child she raised alone. The evidence of a love that never got its chance. I don't know, Eleanor says. Michael was your father in every way that mattered. But biologically. Tommy and I, it was only one summer. I never took a test. I never wanted to know for sure. Why not? Because knowing wouldn't change anything. You were mine. That was enough. Claire looks at the disappearing taillights of Tommy's car. It might change things for him. St. Catherine's retirement home sits on 3 acres of manicured lawn. Peaceful. Quiet. The kind of place where elderly priests go to live out their days in contemplation and prayer. Father Dominic Russo has been here for 10 years. He's 77 now. Still sharp. Still carries himself with the authority of someone used to being obeyed. He's in the common room reading when his brother walks in. They haven't seen each other in 20 years. Thomas, Dominic says. Doesn't look up from his book. I heard you were coming back for the demolition. You heard right. Come to make peace with the church? No. Come to make peace with you. There's a resemblance. Same sharp features. Same dark eyes turned silver. But where Tommy aged into his face, Dominic aged into severity. I don't think we have anything to discuss, Dominic says. Eleanor Whitaker. 1969. Ring any bells? Pause. Dominic's expression doesn't change. Ancient history. Not to me. Not to her. Not to the daughter she raised alone because of you. Dominic closes his book. Sets it aside carefully. I gave that girl good advice. She made her choice. You manipulated an 18-year-old pregnant girl into abandoning the man she loved. I saved you from a mistake that would have ruined your life. You took my life. You took my choice. An orderly looks in. Dominic waves him away. Tommy sits down across from his brother. Forces himself to breathe. To think. Tell me why, he says. The real reason. Not the career. Not the scholarship. The real reason you couldn't let me be happy. Dominic looks at him for a long moment. Because I wasn't. And there it is. The truth underneath the truth. You weren't happy, Tommy repeats. So no one else could be? I took vows, Dominic says quietly. I gave up everything for God. For the church. For the family name. And then you, the golden boy, the artist, the one everyone loved, you were going to throw it all away for some girl. She wasn't some girl. She was Eleanor. She was beneath you. No. She was beyond me. And you knew it. That's what you couldn't stand. Dominic looks away. I thought I was protecting you. You were projecting. Your misery. Your regrets. What did you give up, Dominic? Who was it for you? Dominic stands. Walks to the window. Her name was Maria, he says finally. I was 22. 1 year before ordination. She was the daughter of the church groundskeeper. We were involved. Involved. She got pregnant. Tommy stands up slowly. You have a child? I had a choice. Just like you. The church or her. I chose the church. She gave the baby up for adoption. I never saw either of them again. And you've spent 55 years making sure no one else got the happy ending you didn't? Dominic turns around. His face is a mask. But his eyes tell a different story. I was trying to save you from a lifetime of wondering what if. From the guilt. From the... You were trying to save yourself, Tommy says. You were trying to justify your own choice by making sure I made the same one. Well, congratulations. I did. I left. I built the career. And I've been miserable for 55 years. Just like you. Tommy walks to the door. Stops. Where's Rosa Martinez now? Why? Because she was part of this too. She told you about Eleanor. She... Rosa told me nothing I didn't already know, Dominic says. I had eyes. I watched you with that girl. I knew where it was going. Rosa just confirmed the timeline. She betrayed her own cousin. She loved you. People do terrible things for love. Is that what you're calling what you did? Love? Tommy leaves. Dominic stands at the window, watching his brother walk away for the second time in his life. I'm sorry, he says to the empty room. But sorry doesn't fix 55 years. Sorry doesn't bring back what was lost. Sorry is just another word for regret. And regret, as Dominic knows better than anyone, is a life sentence. Rosa Martinez lives above what used to be her family's general store. The store closed 20 years ago. Now it's a coffee shop on the ground floor and Rosa upstairs, alone with her memories and her guilt. She's 68. Never married. Never left Millbrook. Some people run from their mistakes. Rosa stayed to watch hers grow up. Claire Whitakerchin stands at the door. She's come alone. Eleanor doesn't know she's here. Mrs. Martinez? Rosa opens the door. Sees Claire's face. Knows immediately who she is. You have your mother's eyes, Rosa says. And his chin. So you knew. Everyone knew. Or suspected. This town doesn't keep secrets well. Except it did. For 55 years. Claire steps inside. The apartment is small. Clean. Filled with photographs. And in every photograph, visible if you look carefully, is Tommy Russo. Newspaper clippings of his buildings. Magazine features of his career. A life watched from a distance. You never stopped loving him, Claire says. It's not a question. Rosa sits down heavily. No. But he never started. Loving me, I mean. It was always Eleanor. Only Eleanor. Rosa tells the story. Not the one Eleanor knows. The whole story. She was 16 when Tommy was 18. Used to follow him around like a puppy. He was kind. Patient. Treated her like a little sister. She wanted more. When he met Eleanor, Rosa watched her world end. I thought, Rosa says slowly, that if Eleanor wasn't an option, eventually he'd see me. Maybe not love me. But see me. So you told Father Dominic she was pregnant. I told him what I saw. Eleanor throwing up in the bathroom at the store. Eleanor buying prenatal vitamins. Eleanor crying. You destroyed her life out of jealousy. I was 17. I didn't know, I didn't think. Rosa's voice cracks. I thought she'd tell Tommy. They'd get married young. She'd hold him back. He'd resent her. And maybe then. But she didn't tell him, Claire says. She ran. Yes. And he left. And I've spent 55 years watching from a distance as he built a brilliant career and died inside. Claire looks around the apartment. At the shrine to a man who never knew it existed. Did you ever tell him that I loved him? No. That you were the reason he lost everything? No. Claire stands. He's in town. For the demolition. You have one chance to tell him the truth. He won't want to hear it. I don't care what he wants. You owe him the truth. You owe my mother the truth. You owe yourself the truth. Rosa looks up. What good will it do now? I don't know. But living with secrets for 55 years hasn't done anyone any good. Maybe it's time to try something else. Tomorrow. The demolition ceremony. Everyone will be there. The letter will be read publicly. If you have any courage at all, you'll show up. That night, Rosa sits at her kitchen table. Pulls out a shoebox from under her bed. Inside, letters. Dozens of letters. All addressed to Tommy. All unsent. 55 years of words she never had the courage to say. She takes one out. Dated August 20th, 1969. 1 week after Eleanor buried her letter. Dear Tommy. Eleanor is gone. I know why. I know everything. I'm the one who told Father Dominic. I thought I was helping. I thought I was saving you. I thought maybe you'd see me. I was wrong. About all of it. I'm sorry. Rosa. Rosa tears up every letter. 55 years of apologies that never got sent. But tomorrow she'll say it out loud. Or she'll finally learn to live with the silence. Eleanor sits in her doctor's office. She didn't want to come. Claire insisted. You need to know, Claire said. We all need to know. So here they are. Eleanor. Claire. Tommy. 3 people waiting for a piece of paper to tell them the truth about 55 years ago. The doctor walks in. Dr. Sarachin. Claire's wife. Which makes this even more complicated. I have the results, Sarah says gently. She knows this isn't just medical information. This is identity. This is history. She hands Claire the envelope. Do you want me to leave? No, Eleanor says. Stay. Whatever it says, we face it together. Claire opens the envelope. Reads. Her face goes through several emotions at once. Well? Tommy asks. Claire looks at him. You're not my father. Tommy's face does something complicated. Relief. Disappointment. Confusion. Then who? Claire looks at the paper again. According to this, Michael Whitaker was my biological father. Eleanor's hand goes to her mouth. That's impossible. Michael and I never, not until after you were born. We waited until we were married. Then the timeline is wrong. Or. Sarah takes the paper. Looks at it carefully. Actually, the DNA shows something interesting. Michael Whitaker is genetically related to you. But not as a father. More like an uncle. Or cousin. The room spins. The timeline fractures. The simple story, Eleanor got pregnant by Tommy, married Michael to save face, collapses into something far more complicated. What does that mean? Eleanor whispers. Sarah pulls up her computer. It means we need to run more tests. But based on these markers, Claire shares DNA with Michael Whitaker's family line. But also, she looks at the screen. Then at Tommy. Also with the Russo family line. Tommy stands up. How is that possible? Unless. And then he stops. Stares at Eleanor. Dominic. Eleanor's face drains of color. No. That's not, we never. Not you and Dominic. But Michael and, who was Michael's mother? Michael's mother was Maria Whitaker. Born 1947. Adopted by the Whitaker family in 1948. Tommy sits down slowly. Dominic's child. The one he gave up for adoption. Maria. Who grew up and had a son named Michael, Claire continues. Who married Eleanor and raised me as his daughter, Claire finishes. Here's what it means. Dominic Russo fathered a child in secret. That child, Maria, was adopted by the Whitaker family. Maria grew up and had Michael. Michael, Dominic's grandson, married Eleanor. And raised Claire, who is genetically both Tommy's child and Dominic's great-grandchild. The family trees are tangled beyond recognition. The bloodlines cross in ways no one intended. And the conspiracy that tore Eleanor and Tommy apart was orchestrated by a man whose own secret created the very situation he was trying to prevent. This is the moment everything changes. This is the moment they realize that Dominic's interference wasn't just cruelty. It was guilt. He was trying to prevent Tommy from making the same mistake he made. But in doing so, he created a situation where his grandson married his brother's lover. Where his great-grandchild was raised by the very woman he tore from his brother's life. The universe has a sense of irony. And sometimes, it's devastating. Eleanor speaks first. Michael knew? Claire shakes her head. There's no way. He would have told us. He would have. But then she remembers something. Her father's journal. The one she found after he died. The one she's never been able to bring herself to read. I need to go home, Claire says. Why? Because Dad left me something. A journal. From before he died. I think he knew more than he said. That night, in Claire's house, the three of them gather. Eleanor. Tommy. Claire. A makeshift family built on fragments and secrets. Claire brings out a worn leather journal. She's kept it sealed since 1973. Couldn't bear to read it. Couldn't bear to throw it away. She opens to the first entry. January 1st, 1970. Michael Whitaker's handwriting. Neat. Precise. Today I married Eleanor. It's not a love story. Not the traditional kind, anyway. I love her. She loves someone else. But we both need this. She needs a name for her child. I need purpose. Reason. Something to tether me to a world that doesn't make sense anymore. I found out 6 months ago that I'm adopted. That my birth mother gave me up 50 years ago. That the man who fathered me was a priest who chose his vows over his child. I could be angry. I could be bitter. Instead, I'm standing in a church, marrying a woman carrying another man's baby, and thinking maybe this is how we heal. By choosing family instead of waiting to be chosen. Tommy leans forward. He knew. From the beginning, he knew. Claire turns pages. April 7th, 1970. Claire was born today. 6 pounds, 4 ounces. Perfect. When I held her, I understood something my own father never did. Blood doesn't make family. Choice does. I choose her. I choose Eleanor. I choose this life we're building from the ruins of other people's mistakes. More pages. Years of entries. Michael documenting his love for Claire. His quiet companionship with Eleanor. His understanding that he was part of a larger story he'd never fully know. Then, February 10th, 1973. 3 days before he died. I went to see Father Dominic today. I don't know why. Maybe to confront him. Maybe to understand. I told him I knew. That I'm his grandson. That I married the girl his brother loved. That I'm raising his great-grandchild. He looked at me like I'd shot him. I didn't know, he said. I swear to God, I didn't know who you were. I believe him. But it doesn't change what he did. Doesn't change that his choices 47 years ago are still rippling through lives today. Does Thomas know? He asked. No. And he won't. Not from me. Why protect me? I'm not protecting you. I'm protecting Claire. She doesn't need to know that her existence is the punchline to a cosmic joke. He asked me not to tell anyone. I won't. But I'm writing this down. Because someday, if Claire finds this, I want her to know, none of this is your fault. You were born from love. Not mine and Eleanor's, not that kind. But love nonetheless. You are not a mistake. You are not a secret. You are my daughter. And that's the only truth that matters. The room is silent. 3 people sitting with the weight of a man who died 52 years ago, still trying to protect the people he loved. Eleanor speaks quietly. He died 3 days after that. Car accident on his way home from visiting Dominic. Tommy looks up sharply. You don't think? No. It was an accident. Black ice. He lost control. There was an investigation. It was just bad luck. Or the universe's sense of timing. Tommy stands. Walks to the window. Michael was a better man than either of us deserved. Yes, Eleanor agrees. He raised my daughter. Our daughter, Eleanor corrects gently. Biologically yours. Legally his. Actually ours, all of us. I don't know who I am anymore. You're Claire. That's who you are. The rest is just biology and history. It doesn't define you. It defined all of you. Yes. But you get to choose whether it defines you too. Music, soft. Hopeful amid the sadness. Tommy turns from the window. Tomorrow is the demolition ceremony. The letter will be read publicly. This whole story will come out. Do we let it? Claire asks. Do we have a choice? Eleanor counters. We always have a choice, Tommy says. That's what I learned tonight. Michael chose you. Rosa chose silence. Dominic chose the church. Eleanor chose sacrifice. I chose bitterness. Tomorrow, we choose truth. Or we choose to let the past stay buried with the church. I vote truth. Truth, they say together. The night before the church comes down, for people can't sleep. Eleanor. Tommy. Claire. Rosa. Each alone with their thoughts. Each preparing for what tomorrow will bring. Eleanor sits in her garden at 3 a.m. The church is visible in the distance. Floodlights illuminating it one last time before it becomes rubble. She's lived in view of this church for 55 years. A monument to what never was. Tomorrow it comes down. And maybe, she can finally stop looking at it. Tommy appears at the garden gate. Couldn't sleep either? Never could. Not for 55 years. Me neither. They don't touch. Don't need to. The connection is there regardless. I'm sorry, Eleanor says. For which part? All of it. Leaving. Not telling you. Robbing you of a choice. You thought you were doing the right thing. I was 18. I didn't know what the right thing was. Do you now? No. But I know what the wrong thing was. Letting 55 years pass without saying this, I loved you. I never stopped. Every day. Every moment. You were the ghost I carried. I built a life, he says. A career. Buildings in 12 countries. Awards. Recognition. Everything Dominic wanted for me. Was it worth it? No. They sit in silence. Not awkward. Just complete. If we had a time machine, Eleanor says. If we could go back. Would you want me to make a different choice? Tommy thinks about this. Really thinks. I don't know, he admits. Because if you hadn't left, I wouldn't have the career. But I'd have you. And Claire. And a life that mattered. Your life mattered. My buildings mattered. I'm not sure I did. You mattered to me. Always. Rosa stands in front of her bathroom mirror, practicing words she should have said decades ago. I'm sorry. I was young. I was stupid. I was in love. I destroyed your life out of jealousy. Some apologies are too big for words. Some betrayals can't be undone with sorry. But saying it matters anyway. Not for forgiveness. For truth. Claire sits with Michael's journal, reading entries from her childhood. Her father documenting every milestone. First words. First steps. First day of school. Every entry ending the same way. I chose her. And I'd choose her again. DNA doesn't make a parent. Choice does. Michael chose her every single day. That's not biology. That's love. Dominic Russo sits in his room, unable to sleep. Tomorrow is church, the one he commissioned, the one his brother designed, the one that was never finished, comes down. A monument to his interference. To his pride. To his fear that happiness was a sin. He prays for forgiveness. From God. From Tommy. From Eleanor. From Maria, the woman he left. From Michael, the grandson he sent to an early grave with the weight of secrets. But prayers are just words unless they come with action. And Dominic has run out of time for action. Tomorrow the church comes down. Tomorrow the letter is read. Tomorrow all the secrets buried in concrete come into the light. And 4 people will have to decide. Do they forgive? Do they move on? Do they let the past die with the building? Or do they build something new from the ruins? The demolition ceremony is at noon. By 11:30, half the town is there. St. Catherine's Church stands one last time. Unfinished. Always unfinished. The construction equipment is ready. The Historical Society has set up a podium. They're going to read the letter before the building comes down. One last piece of history before it becomes memory. Eleanor arrives first. She wanted to be alone with it one more time. Walks through the empty sanctuary. Sees the exact spot where she buried the letter 55 years ago. Remembers the girl she was. Terrified. Pregnant. Convinced she was doing the right thing. I'm sorry, she whispers to her younger self. I'm sorry I made you carry this alone. Tommy. He sees her standing there. Joins her. They stand side by side in the unfinished church. Beautiful building, Eleanor says. Would have been. Why didn't you ever finish it? Because it was ours. Finishing it without you felt like admitting you were really gone. Claire arrives. Then Maggie. Then the town. Then the press, because somehow this story has leaked beyond Millbrook. Elderly lovers reunited. Secret letter found. Conspiracy and betrayal and 55 years of silence. It's the kind of story people can't look away from. The Historical Society president, Judith Marsh, 78, steps to the podium. Thank you all for coming. Before we say goodbye to St. Catherine's, we'd like to share a piece of history that was literally buried in its foundation. She holds up the letter. This was written in August of 1969 by Eleanor Whitaker, then Eleanor Burke. It was addressed to the one I leave behind. With Eleanor's permission, we're going to read it now. Eleanor steps forward. Actually, she says, I'd like to read it myself. But not alone. She looks at Tommy. Would you read it with me? They stand together at the podium. The letter between them. Eleanor reads the first half. The part she wrote in 1969. About being pregnant. About Dominic's interference. About choosing Tommy's future over their present. Her voice shakes but doesn't break. Then Tommy speaks. And I'd like to add to this letter, he says. With words I should have written 55 years ago but never got the chance. He pulls out a folded paper from his pocket. Eleanor looks at him in surprise. He wrote it this morning. At 4 a.m. when he couldn't sleep. A response to the letter he never received. Eleanor. If I had found this letter in 1969, here's what I would have said. I would have chosen you. I would have chosen our child. I would have chosen a life built on love instead of ambition. The buildings I designed are beautiful. They'll stand for 100 years. But they're cold. They're empty. They're not you. I spent 55 years building monuments to loneliness. You spent 55 years carrying a secret you thought would protect me. We were both wrong. And we were both right. Because Claire exists. And Michael loved you. And you survived. And I survived. We didn't get our happy ending. But we got an ending. And maybe, we can have a beginning. Not marriage. Not reclaiming the past. Just honesty. Just presence. Just showing up for each other in whatever time we have left. I forgive you, Eleanor. I hope someday you'll forgive yourself. Tommy. Then someone starts clapping. Claire. Then Maggie. Then the whole crowd. Not for the drama. For the truth. For two people brave enough to be vulnerable in front of strangers. Then another voice. Quiet. From the back of the crowd. I have something to say. Rosa Martinez steps forward. 78 years old. Carrying 55 years of guilt. My name is Rosa Martinez. I'm Eleanor's cousin. And I'm the reason she wrote that letter. Rosa tells the truth. All of it. About being in love with Tommy. About telling Father Dominic about the pregnancy. About thinking she was helping when really she was destroying. About 55 years of watching from a distance. About never having the courage to confess until now. I'm sorry, she says, looking at Eleanor and Tommy. I was 17 and stupid and jealous. I thought I was saving Tommy from a mistake. Really, I was saving myself from watching him love someone else. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But you deserve the truth. 55 years late, but here it is. Eleanor looks at her. This woman who betrayed her. This woman who changed the entire trajectory of her life. What do you say to that? What do you do? Eleanor walks over to Rosa. And hugs her. We were children, Eleanor says. We all made choices we didn't understand. I forgive you. Sometimes forgiveness isn't about absolving the other person. It's about freeing yourself. Eleanor has carried this weight for 55 years. And in this moment, in front of half the town, she sets it down. One more voice. From a wheelchair being pushed to the front. Father Dominic Russo. Dominic looks at his brother. At Eleanor. At Claire. At the wreckage he created trying to prevent wreckage. I'm sorry, he says simply. I was wrong. About everything. I thought I was protecting you, Thomas. Really, I was punishing you for having the courage I didn't. He looks at Claire. You're my great-granddaughter. I didn't know. But I should have. I should have checked. I should have cared enough to know what happened to Maria's child. To Michael. To you. I'm dying. Cancer. Maybe 3 months. I wanted to take the secret to my grave. But Eleanor taught me something today. Truth matters more than comfort. So here it is. My truth. My confession. My regret. Let it come down. It's a monument to my pride. I'd rather it become a garden. Something that grows instead of just standing empty. The demolition crew moves in. But before they start, Eleanor takes a stone from the church foundation. Tommy takes one too. Claire. Rosa. Dominic. Maggie. Everyone takes a piece. A reminder. Not of what was lost. Of what was survived. The church collapses in on itself. 55 years of secrets buried in its foundation released into the air. And standing in the dust and sunlight. For people holding stones. For people holding each other. For people finally free. 5 years later. The land where St. Catherine's Church stood is now a community garden. Roses. Tomatoes. Herbs. Children's play area. Something alive growing where something dead once stood. Eleanor is 78 now. She tends her plot every Saturday. She's not alone. Tommy joins her. He's 80. Slower now. But here. They're not married. They didn't try to reclaim some fantasy of what could have been. Instead, they built something new. Friendship. Companionship. Honesty. They have dinner twice a week. They watch old movies. They talk about architecture and literature and the lives they lived apart. Sometimes they hold hands. Sometimes that's enough. Tommy, Claire's coming today. With the grandkids. Eleanor, our grandkids. Tommy, still strange to say. Eleanor, good strange or bad strange? Tommy, good. Definitely good. Claire had 3 children. They call Tommy Grandpa Tommy and Eleanor Grandma Ellie. They know the story. Age-appropriate version now. Full truth when they're older. They know that family is complicated. That love doesn't always look like fairy tales. That sometimes the right choice feels wrong for 55 years. Claire walks through the garden with her mothers-in-law, plural, because she married Sarah and Sarah's mother is also involved in the kids' lives. Modern families are complicated. She sees Eleanor and Tommy sitting together on the bench. Looking at the space where the church used to be. You okay, Mom? Yeah. Just thinking. About how much time we wasted. 55 years, Claire says. 55 years, Eleanor agrees. But also thinking about how we didn't waste it. Not really. I raised you. He built beautiful things. Michael loved us. We survived. And now? Claire asks. Eleanor looks at Tommy. He smiles at her. The same smile from 55 years ago. A little weathered. A little worn. But still there. Now we get the epilogue, Eleanor says. Not many people get that. Rosa Martinez died 2 years after the demolition. Peacefully. In her sleep. Her will left everything to a scholarship fund for young women in Millbrook. She named it the Eleanor Burke Second Chances Fund. Eleanor cried when she found out. Forgiveness is complicated. But it's also freeing. Father Dominic Russo died 3 months after the ceremony. Just like he predicted. His funeral was small. Tommy and Eleanor both attended. They didn't speak. But they were there. Some forgiveness is silent. Maggie O'Brien is still alive. 77 and still asking inappropriate questions. Still keeping secrets when asked. Still showing up for her best friend every single day. I knew you two would figure it out eventually, she says. Took us long enough, Eleanor responds. Good things take time. The letter, the original letter Eleanor buried in 1969, is framed in the Millbrook Historical Society. Next to it, Tommy's response. Next to that, a photo. Eleanor and Tommy. Age 18 and 20. In the meadow behind where the church used to be. Smiling like they believed in forever. They didn't get forever. But they got this. And this is enough. Here's what I learned from Eleanor and Tommy's story. Love doesn't always look like happily ever after. Sometimes it looks like 55 years apart and 5 years together at the end. Sometimes it looks like forgiveness you don't think you can give. Sometimes it looks like building something new from ruins. Truth doesn't always heal. But lies always hurt. Secrets have weight. And eventually, they demand to be told. The letter Eleanor buried in 1969 wasn't meant to be found. But it was. And in being found, it freed 4 people from prisons they'd built themselves. If you're carrying a secret, if you're holding on to something you think is protecting someone else, if you've spent years wondering what if, maybe it's time to let it surface. Maybe it's time to tell the truth. Maybe it's time to stop burying letters in concrete and start speaking them out loud. It might not give you a happy ending, but it might give you an honest one. And sometimes that's better. The letter I buried in 1969 wasn't meant to be found. Based on the universal truth that love, real love, doesn't expire. It just waits. What would your letter say? Who would you write it to? And would you have the courage to let it be found? Thank you for listening. Thank you for feeling. Thank you for being here for Eleanor and Tommy's story. If it moved you, if it challenged you, if it made you think, leave a comment. Share your story. Tell us about the letters you've buried. And maybe, it's time to dig them up. Until next time.